you know, when the board decides on the use of money, then there's another issue. But we want to prove that actually the board decided. Then we say, you know, boards are now deciding to, for example, in FORTPORTAL, board sat and decided the use of 100 million.
Yeah, and the chair,
when we have the proof.
If the board is sitting, they are technical people. Whether they guided the board that this, you are not supposed to to give us authority, but the board went against your advice.
Yeah, thank you. I think we stay this audit query. We need that minutes on Tuesday of the board. And we will definitely see whether this gentleman who was, because accounting officers, other accounting officers are very, very, you know, serious. There was one in the FORTPORTAL, in the Moroto, some accounting officer called Mawa. The man created a lot of problems there in Moroto. Disappeared. Now he's somewhere accounting officer, and caused a lot of problems there. Yeah, so we will see how to manage it.
Mr. Chairman, what is the accounting officer?
This one here. Where is he? And what is his name?
Dr. Florence Tugumisirize.
Dr. Florence?
Yes.
Dr. Florence who?
Tugumisirize. Tugumisirize.
Yeah, whatever. You just put it there like that. Now where is he? Where is she now?
She's in Ginger
Accounting officer of Ginger Regional Faro.
Yes.
So Honorable Florence, you take note of this. Ginger Regional Faro. The one who made the board to start and decide how the hospital should spend its money. Yeah, let's move to 1.1 on your revenue performance during the year under review. You had a release of 9.830, and then the warrants was 9.5. There was a shortfall, of course, of about 9. The shortfall came as a result of your non-tax revenue. You budgeted 758 million as planned NTR, but you only collected 430, leaving a shortfall of 327. Unfortunately, we don't have the final accounts here. We would have been able to see it properly. They brought it? Okay, it's here. So you can see what has been attributed to your revenue shortfall is actually on your NTR. Can you explain that, accounting officer?
Yeah, the accountant will throw light on this, but during the planning time, the projected collections were so high. I think that what was projected to be collected was very high, and this was realized by Minister of Finance, that later advised that we rather reduce these projections, we make them lower.
Do you have communication to that effect?
This was in the course of planning for 2019-2020. So we had
talking about
we had to make
this year under review.
Yes.
Is what you are explaining.
2018-2019, what was estimated to be collected was erroneously high. The targets were unrealistic.
You are overestimating?
Yes.
Honorable Chair.
Yes, please, Honorable.
What Honorable is asking, accounting officer, don't tell us having realized why you planned, but I thought you have someone in charge of planning. How do you give yourselves high targets and you bring yourselves? So, do you have a planner who plans for the hospital and who put this thing at a higher target? When you know you collected 100, why do you go for 400? You rather say plus or minus maybe 20%. How do you go high? Now, who was in charge of planning? Accounting officer, who misled you the entity to overplan and bring such funny queries.
Yes, accountant, you can throw more light, but we have a planner and the management, the regional fire hospital, the senior hospital administrator heads the planning.
And where is that? Is the admin here?
He's not around. He's unwell. But accountant, you can.
Thank you, Chair, through the accounting officer. Another issue that could have led to the drastic low collection was that financial year there was industrial action by the doctors. Doctors were on strike for almost a month, and this was private wing where communication always moves. And that time actually they almost branded FORTPORTAL Referral Hospital as a death trap. There were no doctors, so the patients moved away.
Chair, I never wanted to take his answer, because if it is for only 1 month, the range couldn't be uncollected to be 300 something. It would be around 50 or 40. So it also adds, but it doesn't explain. But Honour Chair, I think some of the technical people, they should really be brought to book, because they overshoot their targets. Now, if Minister of Finance had not realized, do you need the Minister of Finance really to realize? So I think, Chair, whether the hospital administrator is unwell, should be also be brought to answer why. And because the doctor, you're a doctor, otherwise, if you are another entity, we would tell you to bring medical records. But we may even find in your records when the hospital admin is not anywhere in the records that is sick. Because every sick person is supposed to be recorded. But accounting officer, do you think when we go to the medical records in the registry, you say he's unwell, maybe he must have reported to the hospital 3 days. Do you think we shall find in him or her in the register of your hospital as sick? Because every person, whoever comes, is supposed to re-register. Because, Chair, you remember here in judiciary when the accounting officer said he was sick, when you sent us, the man had forged the documents.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. So can you prove really when you go in those records? Can we get the name of the officer there? So, Chair, I think, I'm not saying he's not sick, but people have to take this committee serious.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but over budgeting also is bad, accounting officer. Be realistic. No one is going to arrest you. But if you overshoot, now you see you create yourself problems. So I think, Chair, this one, since they overdid, but we just need a recommendation whereby the planner is warned not to over target beyond. They should make realistic what? Budgets. Otherwise this one doesn't go to accounting office, it's just the planner who misled the whole entity.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
listen.
Honorable Florence, yes.
Listen to this. It should be noted that these are funds we collect from patients, and we do not need to pray that people fall sick so that we meet the targets. That is an explanation from a technical person. Why did you plan it then? And it is written here in the responses.
Thank you, Honorable Florence, for bringing this. It should be noted that these are funds we collect from patients, and we not pray that people fall sick so that we meet our targets.
Chair,
Yes,
I want to agree with them on this because when it's like the targets of our targets as government, we don't need people to die, but when they over die. So here I agree with them that the more we don't get patients, the better for the hospital. But the person who misled for that, but this one, if we don't get, but he is explaining that the people were sick, but the doctors were striking. So it means really people were sick. But our prayer is that people shouldn't be what? Shouldn't be sick. I agree with them. But the challenge here is who misled the accounting to overshoot
so you see, he's the accounting
planning.
officer, Honorable James. Let's be straightforward. The accounting officer was the one in charge of the budget. And he was praying for people to fall sick. Now when he's now reporting to us, he's saying we do not pray. Because when he budgeted, he was praying for people to fall sick at that level. To get so people never fell sick. Now he's trying to put it to, and then he was praying. In the budgeting process, you were praying that people should fall sick so that you collect 750 million.
There are circumstances of collecting money from...
No. You see, first of all, this statement here is very fake. How do you write this kind of statement? When you are budgeting, you are praying for people to fall sick. Now, when you are responding, you are saying we do not pray for people to fall sick. Because when you are budgeting, you are praying for people to fall sick so that you collect 750. Now, because your prayer God did not answer, now you are saying you did not pray to God to answer your prayers. That's the implication. Who is to blame here? So you need to start praying for people to fall sick. Who wrote this?
Themselves.
Thank you, Chair.
Is it the accountant who wrote this?
No, I think it's the other gentleman.
Who?
That one looks very bright.
I think
Accountant, yes.
what comes out of this is really technically to collect money from NTR, you meet a lot of challenges. You are dependent on those who come.
You're a psychiatry doctor.
Yes, I am.
Can you first tell us the mental picture of this person who wrote this? Because you see, it's like you are telling us, you are the one who budgeted 750. You collected less, and you never even remitted all the money. We shall come to that in the consolidated fund. When you look at your staff, you didn't put all the 430 million. You put only 326. Where is the rest of the money? You didn't put it to the consolidated fund. Actually, you even you are warranted, which we doubt whether maybe we need the accounting the auditor to help us here. 750, then they warranted only 300. That one has never happened from the treasury. Or they just inserted that figure. The warrants cannot be just almost half of the projection.
So, Honorable Chair.
So when you see the warrant, it's only 300. Then you collected even more, 400. Now you transferred only 300. Instead of transferring even to all what you collected to the treasury.
They didn't transfer.
They didn't transfer all the money.
Chair, it becomes... So they didn't transfer to
They
the
didn't transfer to the treasury all the money. They collected 430.
accounting officer through the chair.
Yes.
Accounting officer, why didn't you transfer all the money? And the law is very clear. I thought it was only under collection.
No, they didn't transfer all the money.
Accounting officer, can you confirm you didn't transfer? But chair, this is a grave thing. Chair, you be looking, technical officer, you be guiding us because we are only looking at under collection when we don't know people collected and used the money at source. So chair, why did they transfer all the money?
You should tell us now, why didn't you transfer all the money to the treasury?
Knowing that all the money has to be sent. Thank God you didn't even collect all. Otherwise, if you had collected, would be finished.
My accountant has some explanation to give here.
Thank you, Chair. Normally, what happens with NTR is that what you remit is what is sent back. Now, in the first quarter of 2018-2019, we had, we were given more than we collected. So at the end of the financial year, we had a liability to Treasury of 80 million, which was on the, I think, 17-18. So we had a liability of 80 million, which was recovered on the money we transferred in 18-19 in first quarter.
My friend, accountant, let me tell you, transfer is transfer.
Yes.
Whether it's going to be recovered from where it has been transferred,
whether you not get any coin,
is transfer.
You just transfer.
Yeah, because now you see, it is going to be recovered from there when you have already transferred it.
So
but your account should read what you have transferred.
So in short, he's saying
not what has been, not what has not been recovered.
So, Chair, in short, he's saying he refused to transfer because he knew they would deduct.
Where did they deduct?
I think, Chair, we shouldn't waste our time on this one. The issue of non-transfer, I don't know what the law says. Because the accounting officer, you just transfer the money.
We transferred the money.
All.
The liability, it was 420.
No, you see, let you go to page 11 of your cash flow. Page 11 is very clear here. You collected 430 million, 434, 241, 40. Then you transferred 321, 319, 933. So I don't know if you do that calculation, how much money was not transferred. We can only easily find it.
So the figure came to that after the deduction of 80 million.
Can you please, but where was the money deducted from?
It was deducted from Treasury.
When you have really transferred in that account?
Yes.
So, but you yourself, your statement should have been able to see the transfer itself, the 430. So that deduction is none of your business. They will only maybe write to instruct you that, you know, you had a debt of this, we have been, from your account we have been able to recover this.
And the Chair, paying a debt is also good.
You see what I'm saying? But your own transfer from the NTR to the consolidated fund should be the one to be reflected here, which is the 430.
So we have evidence that we transferred 430.
So why don't you insert it here that you have transferred 430? So here we are reading 321.
So, Honour Chair.
Yes.
In fact, accounting officer, whenever there is a query in the response, call all the necessary documents in respect to that query. Now, if you had those transfers, you would even lay on table.
So where is the evidence of your transfer?
So, can we get evidence that that money was transferred, the 430? Because the accounting officer, whatever you talk about here, you carry documents. So, Chair, I think I would propose.
Yes, you want to say something about this? You have seen for yourself the accounts. What is it? For the microphone.
Thank you very much. I think the request the honourables are asking is very valid. We need to see the evidence for the transfer, then we can clear the query.
Okay. So where is the evidence? Where is it? Do you have the evidence of the transfer?
Thank you, Chair. Incidentally, I'm sorry I didn't carry the evidence, but it can be produced.
Chair, I think you give them ultimatum when they will produce this, otherwise we maintain it until when they bring evidence that they returned the money. And two, on this very one, Chair, I think there is a need for accounting officer to warn the planner not to over target, because you bring yourself, so that I think the accounting officer should also bring.
You see the challenge they have, you know, these accounting officers, honorable members, when they put the target to 750, they know the treasury will transfer that money. You see, so that's why they over budget. The treasury transfers the money, and they use it. Even if they don't collect it, they seem not to mind. You see, that's the problem. Now it will be an issue on the other accounting officer who is coming. So these are the one will have left. Will have utilized 750 or whatever has been given, and then debts now is incurred on this one here. I mean, this is how they are trying to manipulate the system. So they over budget because the treasury
will give them.
Yeah, they give you that money in advance. So you use the money, and then now even if you don't collect it, the one who is coming after me will be able to sort it out.
So that's why, Chair, I'm proposing that the accounting officer writes to the planner warning that overshooting. We should have realistic. When somebody will have a letter on his or her file.
No, this is a serious recommendation. This is an element of fraud also involved, because when 750 million is transferred from the treasury, you use it all, then you don't collect it. The balance of about 300 is left. So these are the ones now are supposed to be fidgeting with it to make sure they are paid, like the 80 million you paid. Was caused by the other, you know.
Excuse Chair.
Yes.
I think the accounting officer or the accountant is the one who has talked about the 80 million. When you transfer the 80 million, it is also supposed to be reflected in the accounts as a transfer. Yeah. You don't arbitrarily transfer and you don't reflect in the accounts.
Because even the treasury can eat that money.
Yeah. In fact, that is what was disturbing me, Mr. Chairman. How do the books balance if you have transferred money and you don't indicate that you've transferred it?
That's a very good question also.
We transferred, but it offset the liability. The 80 million was an outstanding liability which was offset.
What is it indicated?
That is in page 34.
Page 34.
Yeah, statement of outstanding commitment.
Page 34. But that is part of your NTR, isn't it? Huh? Is it not your NTR? Where is it? The deposit received. Prior commitments for the year, during the year. But still, you know, as we said,
we shall indicate it.
Yeah, you should be able to indicate that as part of your NTR. You cannot just be standing alone. As if, where did you get the money from? Yes. To make these commitments. Meet this commitment from NTR. So
we shall
require this document that you have been able to. And then accounting officer, this kind of statements that you make, it should be stopped. That we are not. It is arrogance, actually. This is arrogance. We are not praying for people to fall sick. So you know, this is arrogance. Should stop. Accounting officer explained that during the budgeting process. No, this is now. So the issue is that budget what you think you can be able to collect. Because then you are going to be now the warrant also. I doubt whether the warrant is this amount of money. You could have entered because you could have entered what you were given. What cash you received, that is not the warrant. You get it? Warrant is a limit of your expenditure, which is issued according to the budget. They issue warrants before you receive the cash. But for you, it's as if the money that the treasury transferred is now what you are saying is the warrant. The 329. So you need to understand some of these issues. Yes, Honorable Rosemary, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry I came late. I'm Nawat Rosemary, Member of Parliament, Amudat District. Mr. Chairman, I entered when you were looking at the issue of NTR, and I would like to find out why they could have over-budgeted. Could they have had sources from which they knew they would get the NTR? And if so, what happened to those sources?
Konono, what you are not here, but Chair said, when they over budget, the ministry is going to release the ministry up front. So they have a technical way of getting money. They over budget so that the ministry releases. When they don't collect, for them they will have used. That's the information I wanted to give you. In fact, they do it intentionally.
It's intentional.
It's intentional. So that's why, Chair, I am proposing that the accounting officer writes to the person in charge of planning, warning the extreme planning figures they should be having a realistic what?
Realistic figure?
Yes. And when you write that letter, Chair, then they give us a copy here to say that you have taken action. It will help you. Otherwise, people over planning, and here we are suffering.
On that note, as James is moving, we want to understand how much is your NTR for this coming financial year now?
150? Yes, 525.
Yeah, that's a little bit realistic.
But it is ministry which advised them. Otherwise, their planner was going to shoot. You never next financial Chair, the planner has again put to 900. It is the minister which realized. So a warning letter to the planner will serve.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
So we need that done. Please you take note of it, and we move to the next item. There was a shortfall in releases amounting to 327 million, representing 3%. Further, the entity remained with an unspent balance of 1.4 billion, representing about absorption level of 85. So you can imagine the shortfall in the release, and then again there is a balance. So this one still goes back to the issue of planning. You do your plan and you don't execute your plan accordingly. What is this 1.4 billion, that money that was returned?
This constituted the gratuity.
Where is it?
And part of salaries.
Why didn't you pay the gratuity of the workers?
Gratuity has to be audited, and that time our internal auditor was on maternity leave. While for salaries,
but do you know how much damage you have caused to these people? In that financial year.
But Chair, if the auditor was on leave, who grants leave? Not you, not the accounting officer. And if you know you only have one person, did you write to Minister of Finance to send you another auditor? And they didn't. Now that you know, because when somebody is pregnant, you see the stomach swelling every day. And for you doctors, you are even aware, you are supposed to know when somebody is supposed to give birth. You are not like Minister of Works. So, Chair, did the accounting officer write to the relevant, to the internal auditor general, that this person is going to go and leave, send us someone? Because gratuity is...
No, you see, there is a lot of damage that has been caused.
So, accounting officer, did you write to the ministry to send you people to audit? Because you knew when this person is going to give birth. You as medical people, she might be even was getting treatment from you, you as doctors. You know that someone is going to give birth at this. You are the ones who even give expected date of delivery.
It's going to give some response about this, but The human resource.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, we appreciate that, but the delay to pay gratuity, we were decentralized in March from centralizing payment of pension we were decentralized in March, and we had a pile of files to work on which we had submitted to public service. When they decentralized us, they had to decentralize the files as well. That took us a process. In the same time, we had issues with our auditor going for maternity leave. And indeed, Honorable Member, we wrote and even physically came to seek for guidance from both public service and even from Ministry of Finance. But given the time that the financial was ending, time was short. We were meeting with only 2 months to be able to handle this. After we had been decentralized in March, so we were unable really to complete the process. However, we completed the process, we have paid all the gratuity at the moment.
You said you wrote to public service, and can you bring the letters? Chair, that's why anything, why don't you bring documents, accounting officer? You can even put them on soft copy you send to our clerk. So, Chair, this query should be held until when they bring evidence that they wrote. If you wrote, then they receive that received from the ministries here, then you'll be safe. Otherwise, Chair, people are suffering there, gratuity, what? When you retire, accounting officer, you will suffer. These very people will make you to suffer. Even you people, personnel, you wait when you leave that office. So, Chair, unless they bring a document that they wrote, if they wrote, then we can tussle with the other officers. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, on this very query, there are some planned activities that were affected, apart from the work and gratuity as indicated, because when you add up the amount, it does not come to 1.4 billion. Secondly, if you say that all has now been cleared, you have to back it with evidence. This is an evidence-based committee because we write a report which we present to Parliament. So we shall not go to Parliament to lament like we are doing now. Would have saved a lot of time. Yes. If you are telling us whatever you are saying, if it is a letter that we wrote this letter on such and such a day, you lay on table, even those that have been paid, but what were the other activities that were not covered?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, through the accounting officer. The 1.4 billion included the salaries, which was 800 million, and 600 million was gratuity. So, with the issue of salaries, it was about the recruitment process.
You given us figures here.